Welcome everyone to Silver Screen Review, presented by My Mama Done Told Me. This is a show where we watch picture films and then talk about them for
on a silver screen.
For about 30 minutes, we talk about them. With Taco Bell. Silver Screen Review is a part of our recurring rotation of variety shows brought to you by MMDTM. So make sure to check out all of our other shows on this channel. Welcome, everyone. I'm your host, Jeff Kolaski, and I'm here with my sister, Lauren. Hi, Lauren.
That's me. Hi.
What are you doing?
Oh, just coming over here to talk about a movie.
Taco Bell, a movie.
Yep.
Yeah, that's fun. Okay, let's do this.
Okay.
Let's get a few things out of the way. We'd like for you guys, our listeners, to go and rate and review our podcast. Let us know what you think.
Please.
Whatever streaming service you use, give us a like, give us a subscribe, give us a whatever you do.
Give us a hey, yo.
Give us a hey, yo. If you want to connect with our family and you don't want to use our social medias, you can give us an email.
Yeah.
That email address is?
My Mama Done Told Me podcast at gmail.com.
Yep. And we'll have all our social medias in the show notes.
Show notes.
Wait. This week, on this episode of Silver Screen Review, Lauren found a movie for us to watch on Hulu from 2022 called Next Exit. Here is the trailer.
It is irrefutable. Our consciousness continues beyond our physical bodies. My Life Beyond study is strictly a volunteer program.
So why can some people see ghosts?
The strong connection between Rio and his father brought them together, and the rest is, well, history in the making.
I'm taking a trip. Where are you going? It's difficult to say.
So this is supposed to be goodbye?
No, I'll come back and haunt you.
Are you two together?
She should be so lucky.
When's your appointment?
7 days.
Mine's in 5. You serial killer?
Yeah, no.
6 a.m. the car leaves. Sharp.
Razor.
We're not pals. We're not in this together, okay?
How many people know what it's like to be us right now?
At our institute, we now bridge dozens of new participants daily from this world to the next.
Once you're in a state of passing, we terminate your physical form. 3, 2, 1.
Wait.
Let's try and have some fun today, please.
Okay, so what's fun?
I did it! I want my life to mean something. I don't want to hate life. I want to embrace what's next.
You practice that? You got like an Instagram handle for the afterlife? What you do here still matters. You know that every time you disappear, another little piece of my heart breaks.
Lost everyone.
So? I never even had anyone.
But I did. I can't make it stop.
You can stop! I need you!
I see it. This darkness. It's irresistible.
A quick warning before we get any further into this, though. If you haven't seen this movie yet, maybe go check it out before you listen, because this is a spoiler alert.
Spoiler.
Yep, so come back and join us. All right, so Next Exit. This is I'm going to give a little bit of a description. A synopsis.
Mm-hmm.
Synaptics.
Yeah.
Synapsis. All right, this is a sci-fi drama that explores the existential question. Let me try that again. Cue the music.
Okay.
This is a sci-fi drama that explores the existential question of life over death, set in a world where scientific evidence proves the existence of an afterlife. The movie follows two strangers, Rose, played by Katie Parker, and Teddy, played by Rahul Kohli. Kohli. Yes.
I'm not sure.
Who are both eager to end their lives. They sign up for a controversial research study led by Dr. Stevenson, played by Karen Gillan, who also played Nebula in the Guardians of the Galaxy movie.
Wow, you learn something new every day.
Which offers a way for people to pass into the afterlife with full consciousness and awareness of the transition. The film primarily takes the form of a road trip with Rose and Teddy sharing a car as they drive across the country to Dr. Stevens' lab. Along the way, they confront not only their personal reasons for wanting to die, but also the unresolved trauma and emotional baggage that shaped their decisions. The journey forces them to examine their lives, and the two form a complicated bond, navigating moments of humor, anger, and emotional vulnerability. Next Exit uses its sci-fi premise to explore deeper themes of grief, redemption, and the meaning of existence. As much about human connection as it is about the afterlife, the film balances its speculative fiction elements with a poignant and personal narrative, ultimately asking whether life's end can truly be a fresh beginning. Written and directed by Molly F. Elfman, No Traffic for Ghosts and Helm Street Production, distributed by Magnet Releasing, streamed on Hulu. Everything will be in the show notes. Let's get into it. Lauren,
Yes.
why did we watch Next Exit? You chose this one.
I did choose this one, and I wanted to find a movie that I hadn't seen
Right.
before, that was fairly new, and that piqued my interest.
Mhm.
And
What about this one piqued your interest, though?
I liked the sci-fi element of it,
Mhm.
and I also liked the speculative fiction part of it, like
Mhm.
the afterlife part of it. I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah.
And I didn't like I just saw the preview and I thought, I wonder where they're going to go with this. Like
Right.
I kind of had an idea of how the movie was
Mhm.
going to go just from the preview, but
Right.
the end was a surprise to me.
I was about to ask you if anything surprised you about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
The ending of this movie really did surprise me, I
Okay,
think.
we'll get into that in
Yeah.
just a little bit, but I was a little bit surprised about that as well.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's talk about some of our standout moments. But overall, did you like this movie?
I liked this movie a lot. I liked it more than I thought I would,
Yeah.
I think. And I did. I liked it a lot. It had me intrigued the whole time.
Mhm.
And like I said before, the ending surprised me.
Mhm.
I watched it with it kept his attention the whole
Mhm.
time, which is kind of difficult to do in a movie like this where it's like a drama,
Mhm.
without a whole lot of like comedy elements or
Yeah.
action elements or anything. It's basically just
Yep.
two people on a road trip.
Right. To me, I thought the story was just dark enough and, kind of eerie enough
Mhm.
and on the verge of like it was on the verge of like an apocalyptic movie.
Yeah, yeah.
Where, you saw the like graffiti on the signs and people were like killing themselves, just to get on to the next life and things like
Mhm.
that because like I said in the description, they had scientifically proven that the afterlife exists.
Right.
Then we'll get into that a little bit more, but it was also mixed with humor.
Mhm.
There were times when
There
I
were some funny parts.
actually
Yeah.
laughed out loud.
Yeah.
And a pretty touching kind of romantic story too. So it had
Yeah.
elements of a lot of different themes that
And the two main actors, they had a lot of like, what do you call that?
chemistry.
Chemistry
Yeah.
together. I liked
thought so
them
too.
together,
Yeah.
and I know that they've worked on some things together in the past too, which probably helped.
Yeah. I think, and just to kind of pick it apart a little bit, the beginning, I thought it was a little cliche.
Mhm.
I hate you, I don't want to be here. We
Right.
got to be in a road trip together, and then by the end, they're in love with each other.
Mhm.
Like that part's a little cliche. Like
I thought that's what I thought was going to happen.
yeah,
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 that
everybody
part,
did.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That didn't surprise me.
no, and I feel like that was they could have at least been kind to each other at the beginning.
Yeah.
And I would have believed it more because
but
you're
I
going to be
think-
kind to a stranger probably.
Yeah, but I think Rose was over it. Rose
For
just
sure.
didn't give a fuck anymore. Sorry.
Right.
But she just didn't care anymore.
Yeah.
And she was like, you know what? I'm done being nice to people. I'm done
Yep.
blowing smoke up people's asses. I'm just going to act how I feel.
Mhm.
And I don't want to be here.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you can come with me or not, but I don't want to be your friend. Like this,
Right.
I'm trying to not be here anymore. I'm not trying to make new friends
Right.
or
And-
fall in love
Yeah,
or
and,
whatever.
And I think I get that.
And I
It
think
just felt a little forced to
No,
me
it
at the
did.
beginning.
It did, but also I think that's why they had the guy at the very beginning that came to buy her TV make a pass at her, because once
Mhm.
he found out that she was going to end her life like some of
Yeah.
these other people, because they were almost like celebrities,
Yeah.
people that were going to this institute to end their
Right.
lives, because people on the street are like wearing the t-shirts, and the one girl was
Yeah.
like, "Oh, you're one of them? Awesome." Like
right.
wanted to like shake
Got
his hand
in,
and
right.
stuff. So it was almost like this weird celebrity. And so
Mhm.
once he found out that that's what she was doing, he was like, "Anything I can help you with before you go? Like,
Wink,
hey,
wink.
do you need
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
want to do anything before you're not
You're
here
done,
anymore?"
yeah.
And she
Smashes
put him
the
in his
TV.
place.
Yeah. That was kind of a fun part.
Yeah.
So car conversational movies,
Mhm.
we've seen them before. They're hit and miss for me.
Mhm.
I think, they can borderline corny, it
Yeah.
can be forced.
Mhm.
I think they did a pretty good job with this one, not making it feel too forced though.
There wasn't a whole lot of time spent in the car
Right.
either, which is
So
good.
right, and I agree that it's a road trip movie, but most of the time wasn't in the car, and when it was pretty short lived.
Yeah.
So I was
And
happy about
what was
that.
said in there was like actually needed to be said for the
Mhm.
movie. It wasn't a lot of
Or
filler.
or there was a few parts where it kind of showed them playing like kind of road games, like
Right.
this
Yeah.
is the worst thing I've ever done, and
Right.
this is the or never have I ever or
Mhm.
whatever. I mean, that was more in the bar,
Right,
but
but
still
still.
that kind of a thing. So I think they did a pretty good job with that.
Well, and they kept it moving forward
Right.
really well.
Right.
They didn't like
Drag
veer
it.
off into weird situations for too long.
hmm Okay, so let's get into a little bit. So I enjoy into the afterlife piece.
Mhm.
So I enjoy movies that make you kind of think about things.
Mhm.
Okay, it's very science fiction.
Mhm.
So I'm not watching this going, "Oh my goodness, like this could be real" or anything
Yeah.
like that. But I like whether it's apocalyptic, whether it's any kind of science fiction that I go, what if this was real?
Some
What if
kind of alternate reality
right?
type
What
of
if there were
situation.
an alien race that was walking that showed up and we just had to decide what we were going to do with them,
Right.
or something like that.
Mhm.
So it was fun for me on this one to sort of think about what would change in the world if
Mm.
somehow, and they left it pretty vague about
Mhm.
how they proved scientifically the existence of the afterlife.
Other than film footage
Right.
of it's essentially a ghost.
hmm Yeah, but they never talked anything about, is God or religion involved?
Mhm.
What is this? What is the
Right.
afterlife?
What
Is it
kind of afterlife? Are we
right?
just stuck here? It's
Right.
just a different like dimension or
Right.
whatever. Like, yeah,
And
they never really went into that.
right. And they
Which I appreciated a little
me
bit.
too. It leaves it a little bit vague.
Yeah.
So I have some feelings about that, but I enjoyed, when they're driving through and we're seeing people, everyone's kind of bleak
Mm-hmm.
but everyone's kind of a little bit more, I don't want to say carefree, but it almost is like there's some pressure off of the world.
Mm-hmm.
When they met the pastor and he's smoking, he's like,
Mhm.
whatever, like we've already kind of resigned to the fact that I don't remember what exactly thing that he said. We've
Mhm.
resigned that to not be truth anymore
Mhm.
based on this,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Well, it just takes the pressure off of, or it takes a little bit of the fear out of dying if you know that it's not like just boom, you're done.
right.
Not
Well,
not that it wouldn't be scary still, or there's still some
yeah.
unknown to it, but
Well, that's the part that confused me a little bit about this
Mhm.
movie. So there was the afterlife component did confuse me, and I get it. They left it a little bit vague. They left it up to the
I think that was on
imagination.
purpose, probably.
Yeah, because how do you
You
really
can't.
do this? We got to see ghosts, but they were also portrayed to be kind of scary.
Mhm.
And they weren't really doing anything besides the guy that played cards with the kid. They just kind of kept showing up like in the
Mhm.
mirrors and whatever, and they were always portrayed as this sort of spooky aspect. So were we to believe in this movie? I mean, I'm interested in your thoughts. Um, were we to like understand that when a person died, no matter how they died, they would go on to be a ghost?
Yeah,
Or
I was confused about that too a little
yeah,
bit. Yeah, I don't know. It seemed a little odd just because you're going to be a ghost and it'd be like hanging out. So do I just have to hang out like and spook
Right.
you in the mirror
Right.
every day?
And
Like that
that's
doesn't seem much of
to
a
look forward to.
yeah,
Right.
to
Why
look
would I
forward
want to
to.
end it then so I could go do that?
Right.
Just because, and they didn't explicitly say if every single person who died became a ghost.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe it was just those with unresolved trauma or things like that. They didn't really say. They did mention a little bit one time on the road. We're like, well, we don't know if time works the same and
Yeah.
everything. They were kind of just at least mentioning that they don't really know
But there's still
everything.
questions about it in this world.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that leads me to the other question of I didn't really understand what the benefit of going to see Dr. Stevenson was. Versus
Just
the
killing
people who
yourself.
just walked in front of the car or
Right.
did, they said the suicide rate
Well,
went up so far.
right. And I think for these two, at least for Rose, she had kind of admitted that she's too scared to do it herself. She can't do it
Okay, yeah, that's
herself. She
true.
needs somebody else to do it for her.
Mhm.
And because she couldn't find somebody willing to commit murder, essentially, she was like, you know what, this is
Yeah.
basically my easy way out. I can go here and somebody will do it for me. It'll be easy. It will be like, and she had tried it before where
Right.
she had taken pills, tried
Mhm.
to take an quote unquote easy way
Mhm.
out without having to like
Mhm.
do something drastic.
Mhm.
But she ended up living through it and then
Mhm.
she was back
Yeah.
to square one. So
They kind of
they glazed over a lot.
Yeah, they implied though that participating in Dr. Stevenson's, trials or whatever offered something better than like a typical death, right?
Right.
Quote unquote typical death.
Mhm.
So maybe whether that's a smoother transition, they mentioned that they could like maybe track or gain some sort of data or
Yeah.
scientific research about the afterlife. So maybe there just is an awareness of them passing into the afterlife, but they somehow just maybe implied through the way people were reacting to it and the controversy behind it that there is something better about doing it with
Yeah, there's
Dr.
something to be
Stevenson.
gained there.
Right.
Whether it's scientifically or
Right.
like it's almost like an experiment where you need people to agree, like, like a
Right.
medication test or whatever, where you take the
Right.
medicine even though you don't know what the side effects might be or whatever. It's kind of a heroic thing because you're one of the pioneers,
You're paving a way for
yeah, yeah.
future.
So you're
Yeah.
one of the first people to like. It's like putting somebody in
Maybe-
a spaceship and shooting them up to the moon for the first
they're
time.
probably not going to come back, but they're going
Right.
to learn things that were
And yeah, there's going to be data that's collected during the thing,
Right.
even though maybe
That's
some
true.
things aren't going to go exactly as.
And maybe we could interpret it to where if you go see Dr. Stevenson and the way that they kind of help you pass on whatever they've developed, maybe you don't become one of the ghosts. Maybe these ghosts are a tormented thing that are showing up. And they mentioned that only some people see the ghosts, and maybe that's with the connection, but who knows? But maybe you don't become a lurking ghost. You
and
go
maybe you
off
go
into
to the other
whatever the rest
realm
is.
or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I think it's clear we don't really know. They left
Mhm.
that a little bit wide open. Okay, it
Little
is what
broad.
it is.
Yeah.
And we can.
I kind of like that a little bit. It's almost like not showing the monster.
Yeah.
What's in your mind is a little bit more complex and a little bit more, scarier than is can be shown on a screen or more fascinating that can be shown on a screen. So I kind of appreciate that in a way.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily love cryptic movies,
Yeah.
but this was just, this was enough.
Open
It
to
gave
how
me
you-
enough
Yeah.
for me to enjoy the movie, but not
Mhm.
too much to where it became hokey and kind of cheesy with the afterlife thing.
Right. Yeah, and I got a little bit tired of the ghost in the mirror thing. Like it seemed like
I just needed more story. I needed her
Yeah,
story
right,
quicker, I
right.
think is what it was.
I think so too. But
Just because I didn't know who
Right.
this person was and why they were there.
Right. Yeah. So I want to move on to so both Rose and Teddy were able to sort of face their biggest quote unquote demon in their life, right?
Mhm.
At first I was kind of not a fan of this. I felt like here's another journey story where
Mhm.
both people just happen to be passing the areas where the big looming thing over their life
Mhm.
they have to speak to. So Teddy facing his dad,
Mhm.
and then Rose facing her sister after the affair she had with her brother-in-law.
Right.
Both of them arrived there.
Mhm.
They went to where it was, and Teddy sort of faced his dad.
Mhm.
He went into the bar, got mad at the wrong guy, and
Yeah.
then his dad was just kind of a normal dude, and he
Maybe
ended
a
up,
little kooky,
yeah, didn't really, you know, didn't really do
he didn't really
anything.
resolve
No, it didn't
anything.
really. And then Rose went and faced her sister and was going to tell her about the affair, but she was like, "I know,
I already
I already
know.
know. I don't care. It's over.
Yeah, ancient
Yeah,
history.
whatever." So at first, I wasn't a big fan of that, but by the end of the movie, I think I changed my mind
Mhm.
because at the beginning, and I'm interested your thoughts on this, but at the beginning, when we meet them both, they're both harboring kind of this big weight, right?
Mhm.
Um, what we can assume is the biggest weight in their lives, never
Yeah.
knowing he wasn't, if he was or wasn't good enough for his dad, and he was knowing that he didn't, his dad left, and he, or whatever the story was, and he never really lived.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where I want to prove to this dude that left me and my mom that I'm going to go and do good, but he
Mhm.
didn't really. He just kind of was stagnant and
Yeah.
didn't amount to the things that he wanted to. So he was
He moved to
um,
New York and never left the state. Like
right,
he moved from Britain or wherever they were
right,
to New York to be somebody, and then he never got out of until this trip to go
hmm,
to California or
right,
whatever. He didn't never get out of the state.
right.
He just sat there.
Yep. And then her, having betrayed her sister in one of the
Mhm.
worst ways, and
Mhm.
um, feeling a lot of guilt
Guilt.
about that.
Yeah.
And neither of them really had any meaningful connections in their
Mhm.
life. And then by the end, though, they had a meaningful and understanding connection with each other.
Mhm.
So that was huge.
Yeah.
That was maybe one of the first real connections where they
Yeah.
were
Where they
really
allowed
themselves
themselves to be
because they thought they
exactly
were
who
at
they
the end.
are. Yeah.
If you
Because
meet
no cares given,
right,
you know.
because
Cuz
here
who
we
cares?
are on the way to our death,
Mhm.
knowingly and
Right.
willingly.
Right.
And so why would I be anything but myself to you
Right.
right now?
Yeah.
And so it's a little bit freeing. And
Yeah.
then they both faced their own demons and came out okay.
Right. And I also feel like both of their problems that they had ended up being so small.
Small. Right. That's what I
They weren't
mean.
even a problem. They weren't
Right.
even a thing.
Right.
Like her sister already knew and was over it, and there was no reason for her to have not had a relationship with her sister all
Mhm.
these years. His dad was just kind of a
The
a,
dingus.
a
He
dingbat
gave,
old man,
yeah,
and
and he
he
gave him way too much weight.
yeah, it was he gave it's almost like I know we've talked about this on the podcast before where you put like the lead up to something
Is
is
way
so
worse.
much worse than the
Right.
actual thing.
Then you get there and go, that was it?
That was it. Like, oh,
I
he
was
already
way
told you,
right.
and here I've been tormenting myself and
Right.
not talking to my family and not doing what I want to
Mhm.
be doing because this thing has been holding me back, and the whole time you already knew.
Right.
Whew. What,
Right.
like, shoo.
Yeah, well, that's a weight off my chest.
Right.
So through this thing, they get out of the state, they go on an adventure, they meet each other, they
Mhm.
have meaningful connection, they meet some cool people along and some weird people along the
Mhm.
road.
I thought it was kind of interesting that she was like drinking and driving the whole time because she
Yeah.
just doesn't care.
Right.
Like,
She's like,
well,
you're
I
not
mean,
she's like, you're not gonna drive because you don't have a license.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
But
what?
she's like, well, we're both going to die anyway. If
Right.
we go out this way or the other way,
Right.
whatever.
When they hit the guy on the road and
Yeah.
she's like, he could have killed us. She's like, missed opportunity.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But so I don't think either of them expected that it would be possible that they would be able to get through this. And then by the end, they're sort of scratching their heads, going, "Do I
Wait,
really
why
want
did
to
we
do
want to
this?
die again?
Yeah, what?" So
Nothing's really that bad. Like
right,
now that we're looking at it from this other thing.
right. I want to talk about a plot hole that I didn't understand.
What's
though,
that?
And it bothered me immediately.
Okay.
Um, and I'm going to start saying it, and if you catch on to what it is, tell me
Uh-huh.
that. So when they met up with that hippie chick, Karma,
Yeah, yeah.
okay, Teddy and Karma were laying out in the field
Uh-huh.
watching the meteor shower.
Mm-hmm.
Karma got a notification on her phone
Mm-hmm.
that said that Dr. Stevenson's trials were
Yeah.
being shut down.
Yeah.
He asks Karma not to tell Rose,
Uh-huh.
and Teddy never tells her either.
Right.
Yet they still go all the way to San Francisco. They
Right.
still get to the lab. They proceed with the treatment, and she gets the treatment.
Right.
Nothing is ever mentioned
No.
about that the lab getting
I
shut down or anything.
I think
I kept expecting it to
Yeah,
show up and
same.
for them to get to San Francisco and be like, well, no, we're not doing this anymore. Didn't you hear?
Right.
And then she has to decide, like, am I going to kill myself anyway,
Right.
or are we going to live together?
Right.
Or
That's kind of where I expected it to go too.
but
And
it
never
never came back
happened.
up.
And you know what? I thought about it at the time, but by the end of the movie, I had kind of forgotten about that
Yeah.
altogether. So no, I didn't even.
It bothers me a little bit because why did that come up?
Well, I wonder
never
if
addressed
it
it.
was. I wonder if it was kind of an incentive for them to get there quicker. Did they make any kind of a
No,
like?
because
did it light a fire
well,
or something?
no, because he never told her. Rose never
Right.
knew.
Right.
There was a time where he acted like he was going to tell her, and she's like, I don't want to
Well,
talk
I
about that
wonder-
either.
Right.
So, maybe it's supposed to imply that they got there quick enough that it
It was
hadn't completely
before.
shut down yet, because we only ever saw Dr. Stevenson in videos.
Right.
We never saw her in person,
Yeah.
which that could just be Kristen Gillan or whatever her name is,
Mhm.
or Karen Gillan.
Karen Gillan. Yeah.
Not being able to go to set or whatever.
Mhm.
But maybe that those people were working under the radar or operating without clearance or something like that. But they never really
Right.
implied that. Like I expected them to be like, we're not supposed to do this, but she insists, and maybe they do it anyway or something.
Right.
But it was a kind of an annoying plot hole to
Yeah,
me.
I wonder if it explains it anywhere, like if there's an explanation
I
out
looked
there.
for
of-
one.
Did you? And
Yeah.
it's not? Huh.
I couldn't find anything.
Interesting.
I wonder, I know that when scripts are written, certain parts are put in and they might go one direction or a different direction.
Mhm.
I can't imagine them leaving a whole part in without
Having a plan
having a
for
plan
it.
for that.
Yeah. That seems strange.
Yeah.
Well,
Because Karma came in, she went and had the meteor shower thing.
mhm.
Great. It shows Teddy a piece of life that he
Mhm.
didn't know existed. And that gives Rose the opportunity to go find Teddy's dad.
Mhm.
And that's all well and good. Fine.
And it was kind of one of those things where they were like, well, what do we want to do before we die? Like, let's rob this
right.
gas station. Let's pick up a hitchhiker.
Right.
And that was kind of her whole thing. But then
Right.
that notification about it, maybe it was just supposed to be
I thought for sure,
incentive for them to get there before it
Right.
gets shut down.
I kind
Or
of,
that maybe there was something not quite right about it, like the science or
Right.
whatever. Like, even if it's not something like as far as like
Mhm.
inhumaneness
right.
of like a Dr. Kevorkian style
Just the
assisted
sciences and all there
suicide or
yet.
whatever.
Yeah.
And they're like, we don't know, we got to shut this down because it's not something that we can really get
Mhm.
behind all the way. And so it was just kind of incentive for them to get there. Maybe it was never that it was gonna be shut down before they got there. It was just kind
It's
of a
just
thing
weird
where
that they
it's
brought
like
it
the
up.
science is not it's not a for sure thing.
Right. Maybe I misunderstood it.
I don't know.
But
But it was weird because
yeah.
I didn't even think about that though, because by
Right.
the end I was just kind of
there's in most of these type of movies, there's something between the main characters that causes conflict,
Mhm.
right? Generally, I could have saw it coming a mile away when he knew something about the process that he never told her. They get there, there's a problem, and now there's
Mhm.
conflict because he
Mhm.
never told her. Okay,
Yeah.
there that could have been a thing.
yeah.
I thought he was going to be super mad at her for
Mhm.
looking up his dad
Mm-hmm.
and this was none of your business and blah
Right.
blah
You
blah.
shouldn't have
That
done
didn't
that.
happen.
No.
None of that happened. There was no
Yeah.
real conflict, and which is good. In some ways, I feel like that was kind of refreshing because we don't see that a lot.
Yeah.
But in other ways, it's like there was kind of some opportunities there to
Right.
create some more drama.
Right, but
But
I also feel like that kind of feeds into the fact that they both were at the end of their rope. They
Mhm.
both had given up already. They were already
yeah, who cares?
yeah,
Right.
they didn't like even if there was a reason to be mad, he was like, "Why am I going to be mad? In 2 days I'm going to be dead anyway.
Mhm.
So it's not going to matter."
Right.
Or, in the next wherever I go on into the afterlife, it's not going to matter. Whatever happened here isn't going to matter
Right.
because it's not going to be a thing anymore.
Right.
So I think that part of it just kind of reinforced that hopeless,
Mhm.
completely given
Right.
up
Just felt like a plot hole to
mindset.
me.
Yeah, no,
But
no. The other part for sure is a plot hole.
okay, I'm
Yeah,
following you.
yeah.
Okay, let's move on to sort of our takeaways. How'd you feel after watching when the credits rolled?
I expected a different ending. I expected them still to kill themselves. I
Me too.
expected them to go through with it and happily maybe holding hands or something
Mhm.
like,
Yep.
yeah, I've found my person in this life, but it still doesn't change my mind and I still want to go
Right.
on to the next thing.
Yeah.
I so that threw me off,
Mhm.
but I was kind of happy about it. I didn't
Yeah.
hate it. Like I thought it
Uh-huh.
was good and I thought, well, I mean, whereas this could have been a very depressing movie if it had ended the other way,
Mhm.
not necessarily depressing, but like
A little
just a little
bit.
bit darker.
Right.
Um
Yeah, I
I
wrote
just think that I think the way they ended it surprised me
me
because
too.
it was kind of an existential dread thing the entire movie and then for them to
Right. I was expecting, and this is exactly, I almost wrote exactly what you just said.
yeah.
I was pretty satisfied with the ending
Yeah.
because I'm glad that neither of them went through with it,
Mhm.
even though I was sure if I had to put money on how this
Mhm.
movie was going to end, one or both of them were still going to
Mhm.
do it. And I thought I
Yeah.
was going to win that
Yeah.
bet with
Same.
myself because she was getting ready to do it, he wasn't ready, and it
Mhm.
was just going to be a tale of heartbreak, just how
Yeah.
life is
Yeah.
sometimes. She went on, he's doing his thing, maybe she's haunting him now or so,
Yeah.
or whatever
And
with him
maybe
still.
he's shaving and sees her in the mirror and is like,
Right.
"Oh, hey, Rose," or something.
Yeah.
Like
Yep, I
I
could
could
have
have
seen
seen
that coming
that.
from
Yeah.
but it, I was waiting for that sort of ironic, quote unquote, unhappy, happy ending.
Right.
But I'm glad we it's sort of like the traditional happy ending that we're also used to not happening anymore.
Yeah.
That we kind of got that and went,
Oh,
oh,
thank you.
okay.
Well, and the
Neither of
way
them
they
died.
did it
Yeah.
was very clever, I
Yeah.
thought, because they made us lose hope
Hmm.
that because she
Did
had
it.
the IV
Right.
in and everything, and he kept saying like, "Just give me one more day, just give
Mhm.
me one more
Minute.
hour. Now,
Yeah.
just give me one more minute." And
Right.
she, woke up like forced herself out of it or whatever. I don't know
Right. However that
however it
worked.
happened, and said, "We'll start with 1 minute." And
Hmm.
she's like, and that kind of makes the ending open like the
Hmm.
rest of the movie was, where it
Right.
was like,
Yep.
okay, she may have decided to kill herself 5 minutes later.
Right.
However, she was willing to give him 1 minute
Right.
and go from there and see
And maybe that was him
how it would.
saying, "Give me one more minute because I know they're going to shut down this
Yeah.
program tomorrow."
Yep.
And that
Yeah.
goes back to what we were saying, like, but they didn't tie that in, but
No.
it's speculation.
Right.
Anyway, we're over time a little bit, so let's wrap it up here.
Mhm.
Let's go to ratings. We've
We
come
didn't even talk about this part though.
what part?
Our rating thing. We didn't really. Oh, I guess we did kind of.
What are you talking about?
The never have I ever thing.
Oh yeah, they did Never Have I Evers. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, but like the bar scene, we didn't even talk about that.
Oh, the bar scene. That was pretty
With
sad.
yeah, it was.
The guy that had they were playing Never Had I Have I Ever with a guy in the bar, and they were all kind of going through all the crazy stuff that they've done.
Yeah, just
And then
like
he
your normal stuff, but
yeah.
then it was kind of like, never have I ever killed a man?
Yeah.
Well, we had already seen
her
Rose kill
Yeah.
a man I mean, obviously she didn't mean to, but he
Mhm.
stepped in front of the car
Yeah.
and she hit him and he died.
Yep.
So she drinks, so that wasn't a surprise.
Right. But then the guy drinks like 5 times, 6
Yeah.
times or something.
Yeah.
And turns out he had unintentionally, while jacking around as a border patrol agent, locked a small family into a 135-degree basically oven,
Ugh.
little shack, and with the door locked or stuck,
Mhm.
and they all
They all
died.
died.
And he was pretty beat
Had
up about that.
PTSD,
Yeah,
pretty
he
severe.
was shooting at the ghosts, and there was actually
Yeah.
a sign at one point that said, "Don't shoot at the ghosts, or you'll make more ghosts."
Right.
Because like
Because
you'll
you're
end up
gonna
shooting
end up
someone
killing
else.
somebody. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Oof.
it's just wild how the world has changed in that world, because
Right.
you get to kind of see. Well, now he know, and he says they're sitting right over there.
Mm-hmm.
They're haunting me.
Yeah.
So that's the part of the afterlife that just
Oof.
really, like, the afterlife in this film that
Right.
that really confuses me, because
Right.
I'm going,
Yeah,
they
but
didn't
imagine if it was real. Like, it would still be confusing because there's no way
well,
you
for
could
sure.
answer all of that, which I think is probably why they didn't give us all of the answers. Even if
No,
it
yeah, for
was
sure.
all thought out and they had like a plan for it, or
hmm
if they, in their minds had made up the entire thing and
It
had
just
all the ins and
surprises
outs
me
of it,
though.
we wouldn't know.
No, we wouldn't. But it surprises me though that
Mm-hmm.
even if you knew that it existed, if you don't know who's turning into those ghosts,
Mm-hmm.
what they're feeling, what they're doing, why they're doing it, who can see them, who can't, all that, you don't
Mm-hmm.
know any of that. So why are people so eager to die?
Mm-hmm.
Just because they know it exists?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know. I feel like this is a pretty morbid topic, but
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'd be more willing to die if I thought that nothing happened, because then
Right.
I'm not risking going into another world of pain.
Mm-hmm.
Because when she passed away, when she put the IV in her hand and she
Mm-hmm.
passed away and she went into that dark room, she started seeing all the horrible things in her life.
Right.
And in my head, when I was watching that, I was like,
Wait, is
is
this
this what
it?
afterlife is seeing all the horrible things? Never mind,
Right.
and
Yeah.
so anyway, let's rate the thing.
Yeah, let's rate it.
We've come to the time of our show where we need to rate this movie with an official Silver Screen Review rating.
Mhm.
Each crew member, that's the two of us, we score the film on a scale of 1 to 10 items, with 1 being as bad as blowing out your tire after you accidentally run into someone with your car, and 10 being as great as the smoking Catholic priest who helps you change that tire and offers you confession.
Mhm.
I liked his character.
I did too,
Yeah.
a lot.
Did you think that she him when she went in the church?
It crossed my mind. I don't know if that happened,
I
but
don't think it did, but it was weird
I
how
mean,
she
but
was like,
the priest was all kind of F it all anyway
Yeah.
with the smoking and everything.
and the way
so.
she was waving to him, and like
Mhm.
she went in there like, I need confession.
Yeah.
And like goes
And
in
he was
there
like,
and-
yeah, me too.
Yeah. Yeah. And like
Yeah,
the way he
that's
kind of walks
weird.
out of the church and smoking a cigarette, and she's kind of waving at him funny.
Mhm.
I thought it was going to come out that she had
Yeah.
banged him.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I don't know. Yeah, but it did cross my mind. I don't know if it actually happened, but
Yeah.
I thought maybe it did. But
Mhm.
when nobody said anything about it, I was like, well, maybe not.
Yeah, I guess not. Anyway, the item that's used for scoring changes each episode depending on the content of the movie we watch. And for this episode, we'll be using Never Have I Evers as our rating item. So, Lauren, how many Never Have I Evers did you give Next Exit, and why?
I gave this movie 8 Never Have I Evers. I really liked it. And I think the reason that I liked it so much is because it was so broad. It
Mhm.
left so much to the imagination. And it left so much up for you to interpret on your own.
Mm-hmm.
So no two persons, no two people that watch this movie are going to have the exact same outcome, because a lot of it was in your own, however you interpreted it, and people interpret things differently. So I liked that a lot. Yep. I also really liked the actors in this movie. Mm-hmm. I really liked Teddy's the guy who played Teddy. Mm-hmm. He's in a lot of things that I've watched before, and he's a phenomenal actor. I thought he was really charming, and I liked it a lot.
Yep.
So
cool. So you give it 8 Never Have I Evers. Mm-hmm. I give this 6 Never Have I Evers. I really did enjoy this movie. It had me interested. Mm-hmm. Plot holes kind of drive me nuts. Mm-hmm. I can watch movies with plot holes. It's fine. Mm-hmm. But when there's ones like that I feel didn't play a big purpose, or they never really wrap up, mm-hmm. it kind of bothers me a little bit. And I just felt like we didn't maybe get enough about the afterlife, which is fine. But I appreciate the vagueness of it, but I maybe need a little more in the
Yeah.
science fiction world.
I just try to think of, if I'm the creator of this movie, I don't want to
over-explain it.
I don't want to go over, because then it's going to turn cheesy or
Yeah.
hokey or whatever.
Yeah.
But if you don't give enough, then so I feel like they gave.
Yeah, I feel like they didn't quite give me enough.
Yeah.
And I'm with you. I just think I needed a little bit more, especially about Dr. Stevenson's role and why people would want to do that. That's all.
No,
So,
you're right.
But it was a good movie. So after averaging our scores for the official Silver Screen review rating for Next Exit is 7. Never Have I Ever's. It was some difficult averaging to do between the 8 and the 6.
It definitely was.
We had to
used
get
our
our
fingers,
our
our
graphing
toes.
calculators out. Anyway, so 7 Never Have I Ever's. Thanks to all of our listeners for tuning into MMDTM's Silver Screen Review. As I said at the beginning, go and rate and review all of our stuff. Check out the other shows that we do, the other segments that we do. Keep an eye out for the next episode on our show, which is a recurring variety show of all kinds of different stuff. We'll be back soon with more movies to Taco Bell here on Silver Screen Review. Until next time, this has been My Mama Done Told Me. I have been Jeff. That's Lauren.
That's me.
We hope you keep your minds open and be kind to each other. We love you. Goodbye. You better
Lose yourself.
to the
Music. Moment.
you
Own it.
you better
Recognize.
never let it go.
You better recognize.
You better recognize it.
It was hard for me.
Exit.
Exit.
Next Exit.
Oh yeah, that's the movie we're talking
They
about.
never even said Next Exit.
No, they didn't. You're right. It's one of those movies.
Yeah, you just kind of have to know.